What sort of things are you on the lookout for? What are you alert to? You know, I think some of us are maybe always on the hunt for good deals, for the things we buy. Maybe it's that. Maybe you're alert and watchful when it comes to the weather. That's probably a good thing around here sometimes. Maybe you feel that way about other interests, like, you know, it could be movies, music, sports, cars, hunting, fishing, whatever it is. You know, there's things that you're kind of attuned to and looking for. And last week, we looked at Acts chapter 20, Paul's farewell message to the elders of the church in Ephesus. And he told them that they needed to be alert, paying attention to themselves and God's flock because of the danger of fierce wolves. And he said, from among your own selves will arise men speaking twisted things to draw away the disciples after them. Now, at the time, Paul didn't say, or at least it's not recorded for us in Acts, what sort of form those deceptions might take. And I didn't have the time last week in going through that chapter to make any suggestions. So I thought it'd be helpful today to return to a passage that we went through many years ago as we were going through the Gospel of Luke. We'll get back to our study of Acts. We'll hold off until after Easter, a few weeks after Easter, and we'll pick it up in Acts 21. But today, I want to direct our attention to Luke 17, verses 20 through 37. And the context here for us is that the Pharisees come and ask Jesus about the fulfillment of God's kingdom promises, right? Which is that theme that runs through the Old Testament, where even from the beginning when the Lord chose Abram, that he was going to make him a great nation and bless them and make his descendants as numerous as sand on the seashore, the stars in the sky. And then you get into particularly the prophets, where they see how they really went astray and lost sight of those promises and didn't fulfill them. And the prophets then talk about how that will change in the future. But anyway, getting back to Luke 17, 20 through 37 here, I think as Jesus responds here, he refutes 5 spiritual deceptions that can really distort, twist around our view of life and eternity. And maybe this is just an observation on my part, but it seems to me that false teachers often specialize in end times prophecy. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't study end times prophecy. We should know it well in Scripture. But I think that a lot of Christians sometimes are not familiar with prophetic portions of Scripture. And plus, let's be honest, they are often difficult to interpret. And so that combination makes it easy for false teachers to step in and use passages like that to introduce distortions. And so we need to be watchful. We need to be discerning. Because especially in times where there's things going on in the world that are frightening or worrisome, false teachers can step in and exploit those things to take advantage of people. And I think those attacks tend to come in waves, and at least I've seen that in my time in ministry. And I feel like we're in the middle of one of those times now. I mean, really, whenever anything's kind of blowing up in the Middle East, it seems to be somebody out there has some explanation for it of why they think it's a fulfillment of prophecy or something like that. So to exercise spiritual discernment, we need to heed the teaching of Jesus and look out for these deceptions.